My research is about optimizing the outcomes after hip fracture surgery in older adults. So for patients with a limited life expectancy, we analyzed when to avoid surgical overtreatment. And for patients with a longer expected lifespan, we will analyze how we could improve the functional outcomes. In the first part of my thesis, we analyzed evidence from 33 studies to identify the strongest risk factors for early death, to better identify high-risk patients. To determine the best course of action for patients with a combination of these characteristics, we asked surgeons to recommend either surgery or non-operative treatment to hypothetical patient cases. We then modeled their decisions to provide expert-driven decision support on when to abstain from surgery. In the second part of my thesis, we developed a machine learning model to automatically monitor patients' physical activity to help clinicians intervene faster if suboptimal recovery is suspected.
Our research, I say our just because it's a work that I did together with my supervisors, is about improving the prediction of rainfall-induced landslides. So right now, existing landslide early warning systems typically use aggregated measures of rainfall while not considering characteristics of the landscape. And so think of how voice assistants like Siri actually process voice commands from us. Rainfall here is treated as a continuous signal that is being read by a neural network that is used in speech recognition. And so this information from the rainfall is combined with information from the terrain that's being used to actually make predictions of landslides. And so the experiments that we did actually showed that this approach leads to better predictions of landslides compared to the conventional approach that uses aggregated measures of rainfall.
In my research for psychology, I looked at the voting behavior of voters for radical right-wing populist parties across Europe. I challenged the common assumption in the literature that they are primarily driven by anti-immigrant sentiments, and through using social identity theory and advanced statistics, I could show that there's different subgroups of voters in voting for right-wing populist parties, some of them driven by racism, some of them driven by anti-elite sentiments, so protest voting, some of them driven by both, another more moderate group, and then a very radical group driven by racism, anti-elite sentiments, and economic grievances. And this research is very important because it allows us to fight the rise of fascism and racism and populist right-wing parties across Europe with tailored interventions that can take different subgroups of the voting population into account.
My research is about salt intrusion, and specifically salt intrusion from seas or oceans into open freshwater systems such as rivers, which is something undesirable, for example, for drinking water. And I looked into ways to mitigate the salt intrusion, especially natural ways using sand dunes, which are sort of natural sandbanks lying in the river. And we looked into how we can use these sandbanks to reduce salt intrusion.
My research is about a mineral called olivine. Actually, this morning on the news, they reported that olivine is a very interesting material because it can react with CO2. And the idea is that if we use this material, then maybe we can get rid of a lot of CO2 that is in the atmosphere right now. And my research is about developing microreactors that enable me to study this reaction with a lot higher accuracy and maybe also identify parameters that, for example, make this reaction go faster or require less resources.
My dream for the future is that I can continue doing research and making an impact within the field of healthcare.
I think my dream for the future is to create scientific output that I'm proud of and something that will benefit the scientific community as well as society at large.
I was pretty happy about hearing that. It's nice to have the appreciation for the research, and I hope it can give some visibility to the research I did.
Yeah, when I got the phone call, of course, I was really excited. I really enjoyed doing this research, and in any case, finalizing your master's degree is a huge milestone. And then, getting this award is really the cherry on top.